What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jared Speaks, episode 7. I want to take 2 seconds and say thank you. For real. Every time I look at those numbers and see people actually tuning in, actually coming back, it means more than I know how to say. I started this thing with a goal and a microphone, and that is it. And the fact that you're here writing this out with me, I don't take that lightly. Thank you. All right, let's get into it. I want to start today with something I need you to actually think about and not just hear. Have you ever been somewhere, a place you've never been before, and felt like you had been there before? Like a room, a street, a conversation, and something in you just went, I know this. I've done this. This has happened. And then it is gone just as fast as it came. Or maybe you've been in the middle of a conversation and it just hits you like you've heard those exact words before in this exact order from this exact person, even though there's no way you could have. That feeling has a name. Most of you already know it: deja vu. And today we're going to figure out what it actually is, where it comes from, why some people feel it more than others, and why you really dig into it. It connects almost everything this show has been about since day one. So, what is it? First, let me make sure we are all on the same page about what deja vu actually is. Because I think a lot of people experience it, have never really sat down and thought about what is happening in that moment. Deja vu is French. It literally means already seen. And it is that feeling, that very specific, very strange feeling that whatever you are experiencing right now has happened before, even when you don't know it has, even when there is no logical reason for it. And here's what makes it so hard to shake: it's not like a regular thought. It is not like remembering something. It feels real. It feels certain. Your gut is telling you with complete confidence that this moment has happened before. And your brain is simultaneously telling you that that is impossible. That gap between the feeling and logic is what makes it so unsettling and so fascinating. Most people experience it at some point in their life. Some people feel it rarely. Some people feel it pretty often. And some people, and we will get into this, feel it way more than average. So, what does science say is happening? Okay, so let me walk you through what researchers and scientists think is actually going on. And I'm going to keep this simple because the science gets complicated fast, and I don't want to lose you in the details. Here's the basic idea: your brain is always doing two things at the same time when you experience something. It's processing what is happening right now in real time, and it's checking that experience against your stored memories to see if it matches anything familiar. Normally, those two things happen together in sync at the same speed. So the present feels like the present, and the past feels like the past, and everything is sorted correctly. But sometimes, and researchers think this happens when you are tired, stressed, or when your brain is just slightly off for whatever reason, those two processes get a tiny bit out of sync. The memory check happens just a fraction of a second before the real time experience catches up. So your brain files that current moment as a memory before you have even fully lived it. And then when you experience it half a second later, it already feels like something you remember because, in a way, your brain already logged it. This is the most widely accepted explanation, a tiny glitch in timing, the present moment getting mislabeled as the past. And when you think about that, when you think about how thin that line is between what feels like the present and what feels like memory, that's a little unsettling on its own because it means your sense of time is not as solid as you think it is. There's another theory too, and this one I find even more interesting. Some researchers believe deja vu happens when your brain picks up on something in your current situation that is similar to a past memory, but not similar enough for you to fully recognize what the connection is. So instead of your brain saying, oh, this reminds me of that time when, it just fires a vague feeling of familiarity with no clear source, like a match that almost connects but not quite. Either way, both of these say the same thing. Your brain is misfiring, getting its signals crossed, showing you something that feels like a memory but has no clear address. Here's something that caught my attention when I was looking into this. Deja vu is more common in people who are tired, more common when you're under stress, more common when you're traveling or in unfamiliar places. And here's one that stood out to me personally. It's more common in people with ADHD. There's research that shows people who have differences in how their brain processes information, including ADHD, tend to experience deja vu more frequently than average. And when you think about what we've already talked about on this show, that actually makes a lot of sense. If your brain is already processing things differently, if your filter is already running on a different setting than most people, then the kind of small timing glitch that causes deja vu is probably going to happen more often. Your brain's already working with a non standard way. Little misfires are just part of the territory. Which, honestly, and I've said this before, does not feel like a flaw to me. It feels like a different way of being in the world. One that comes with some frustrating moments, but also some really interesting ones. Now we're going to get into the past life theory. Now we get to the part I know a lot of you came here for because the science is interesting, but it does not fully satisfy something about the experience, does it? Because when you feel deja vu, really feel it, it does not feel like a brain glitch. It feels like a recognition, real, bone deep recognition. Like your soul knows something your brain cannot explain. And one of the oldest explanations for that feeling is past lives. The idea is simple. If you've lived before, your soul has been here in another body and another time. Some of the places and moments and people you encounter in this life might be things you actually have encountered before. not in a memory your current brain can access, but somewhere deeper, somewhere that does not erase between lives. And the feeling of deja vu is that deeper knowing trying to surface. Your soul recognizing something that your current brain has no record of. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether past lives are real or not. That is way above my pay grade. And honestly, it's one of those things I think every person has to sit with on their own. But I will say this: the past life explanation fits the experience in a way that the brain glitch explanation does not fully cover. Because a glitch feels random. Deja vu does not always feel random. Sometimes it feels incredibly specific, like it's pointing out something. Now we're going to go from the parallel universe angle. We talked about parallel universes back in the Mandela Effect episode, and I want to bring them back here because I think they connect. One theory about deja vu is that it's a moment of overlap between timelines. That in another version of your life, another branch running alongside this one, this moment already happened. And for just a second, the two lines touched and you felt it. Which sounds wild. I know it does. But think about the experience itself, the certainty of it, the way it feels like more than just a brain trick, like something genuinely brushed up against you from another direction. If the parallel universe explanation for the Mandela effect is even worth considering, and I think it is, then the same framework can hold deja vu. Moments where the wall between versions of your life gets thin enough so that something leaks through. So, how does it connect to everything? This is the part I really want you to sit with because this show has been building towards something. I want to make sure you can see the thread. In episode 3, we talked about the Mandela effect, shared memories that do not match reality, mass misremembering, or maybe a timeline that shifted in some people with the memories from the old version. In episode 6, we talked about how your brain filters reality, how it deletes, changes, it fills in the blanks of everything you experience. How what you think you're seeing is actually your brain's version of what's happening, not a straight recording of it. Deja vu lives right in the middle of both of those. It is your brain misfiring reality. It is a crack in the filter, a moment where past and present get mixed up, and you get a glimpse of how fragile the whole system actually is. Your sense of time, your sense of memory, your sense of what is real and what is not. A lot of it is being managed by a brain that is doing the best, but is working with limited tools and sometimes makes mistakes. And here is what I keep coming back to. If your brain can make a mistake that specific, this convincing, what else is it getting wrong? Not in a scary way, in a curious way. Because if the filter can slip up for a second and show you something that feels like a past life or a parallel moment or a memory that does not exist, then maybe the filter can also be adjusted. maybe you can learn to see past it or through it. This is what the third eye conversation was about. This is what the brain filtering episode was about. This is what the whole show is about, if I'm being honest. Understanding the machine well enough that it stops running you. I want to say something here that's a little personal. I mentioned in an earlier episode that my pattern recognition feels high, and I stand by that. But here's the thing I've been sitting and thinking about. High pattern recognition is amazing when it's pointed in the right directions. When you're picking up on real things, real signals, or real connections. But what happens when that pattern your brain is matching is not real? What happens when your brain is so good at finding patterns that it starts finding them where they don't exist? Deja vu might be harmless version of that, a false pattern, a signal with no source. But it makes me wonder about the bigger picture. How many of the patterns I'm so confident about are actually solid? How many are my brain doing what it does? Finding a match, flagging it as real, and moving on before I get a chance to check its work? I don't have a clean answer to that, but I think it's a question worth sitting with, especially for people who trust their gut a lot, which I do. The gut is powerful, but it's also running through the same filter as everything else. That is episode 7, everybody. Before I let you go, I want to ask you something real quick. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, or YouTube, wherever you find this show, please take 10 seconds and give me a follow. And if you're on a platform that lets you leave a rating, even just tapping those stars without writing anything, it makes a massive difference in helping this show reach more people. I'm building something here, one episode at a time, that kind of support goes further than you know. So thank you in advance if you do that. And if today's episode made you think of somebody, a friend, a family member, somebody who you know would go down this rabbit hole with you, send it to them. That's how we grow this thing. New episode tomorrow. Stay serious. Take care of yourselves. And I'll talk to you then.